welcome to the Snowboard Instructor podcast. My name's Max. I'm one of your hosts, and our co-host Alec as well, who's
Hello.
We're joined with Baden today.
Woo!
Baden.
Morning, gentlemen. How are we both?
Good, man. I'm good.
How are you liking your cream tea spread breakfast that has been put in front of
It
you?
looks really nice.
So we've got cheese and ham, we've got beef and horseradish, we've got scones, and I think the biggest test for both of you, and I think soon as you're twins as well, cream them jam or jam them cream?
Oh, damn it. I haven't done it in ages.
Jam them cream.
Cream and jam, mate. I'm gonna switch it up.
Help yourselves.
So Baden is a level 4 base instructor down in Hemel Hempstead. He also runs a ski school called Onyx Snowboarding, which of course does a lot of stuff in the snow centre in Hemel and also essentially a load of little places in Europe, don't you?
We do indeed. So yeah, mainly based out of Morzine, Avoria and Leger. And then we port out to places like the Plan, Ledo Alps in the summer, Chamonix, and also venture over to places like Norway, Japan, America, Canada, New Zealand, anywhere that people will pay us to go.
And they consist of like summer schools, kind of getaway winters, little lessons, privates, and just basically the whole range, is it? I'm guessing.
Yeah, kind of everything from kind of like a package snowboard camp, if you like, all the way through to your off-the-shelf lessons and anything and everything in between.
Super. So, in terms of like one of the first questions I kind of want to ask, like I ask everyone, is what started you into snowboarding? Like, what was your first lesson, if you can remember, Baden?
I know it's a while back.
Over,
mate, I am old.
To like your first trip, and then kind of evidently kind of getting your certification.
Yeah, well, I never went abroad for like a long time after I started snowboarding. So I grew up in Colville, which is like Leicester and not too far away from Tamworth.
Yeah.
So Tamworth Snowdome had not long opened, and they were doing deals on lessons. So me and a mate went, and we had our first kind of like 2-hour session. And I went in jeans, like real bad cotton gloves, and like just a long sleeve top, and like the proper punter. Learned snowboard. Whoever the instructor was, thank you, you were terrible. But yeah, it was just a whole heap of fun. So I was probably like 16, 17 then. And just carried on, just going down to Tamworth. So while I was doing my A-levels, like I managed to like save up and buy myself a snowboard. It was a Morrow Master, and with burnt custom bindings, and they were like the old ones where you hadn't got proper ratchets either. You just kind of like pushed it in and then folded it back over. But many an hour working at Burger King to get that bad boy.
No way.
But yeah, then I used to take that in my car to school, and then whenever I had a free period, I'd like jump on down to Tamworth and go snowboarding.
Super. So because like Snowdome opened up in like 1994, so was it like literally straight after as it opened up, like a year?
It would have been a little bit more than that actually, if it was 94. So it would have been like 90. Oh man, show my age. 96, 97. No, probably 97, somewhere around there, give or take. And then like kind of did that one lesson, like I say, carried on, and then it was like 2000 before I managed to get my first time on real snow. We went as a family. It was me, mum, dad, and my best mate. We went to Lake Tahoe, and it was like a 2-center thing. So you went like with Virgin, you went to Tahoe, and then you went back to San Francisco. It was badass. But yeah, we knew nothing. So I went to like the ski show in Birmingham before we went there, and everyone's trying to get rid of their old kits. We're like, oh, what do we need? Like just full punter mode. Oh yeah, you need some of these and about 20 of these. All right, let's go for that. So rocked up. I remember on our first day, and it was at Squaw Valley or whatever that's going to be renamed soon, at Tahoe, and it was shitting it down so hard. Can I swear by it?
Yeah.
All right, you can believe that.
Yeah.
So it's just bucketing down with snow, and I'd only ever ridden Tamworth, so like one level of snow, one level of visibility, and like maybe a t-shirt that you wear because it's warm there. So it is just harshly bucketing it down, and we're walking across, and my mum and dad are on these kind of like 2mm wide skis, and we've all got like dirty sun lens goggles on as well, and like every bit of gear you can imagine. And I remember this guy confessed, "Oh, you guys are hardcore, man." I was like, "All right, Daddy likes your gear, hey." Like I had no idea until we got to the top, and you can't see nothing. And one run took us probably about all day, really. And
Really?
that was it. Yeah.
I mean, kind of going straight from the snow dome into that, I'm guessing you were like ridiculously exhausted by the end of it in terms of being on that like slope a lot more than you originally intended, babe.
It's humbling because I thought the sun properly shone out of my arsehole. Because I could do a 180 off that lip at Tamworth. I was like, yeah. So yeah, rocked up there, couldn't get off a chairlift because I'd never even seen one, and just trying to wing it really. And I was the only snowboarder out of the three of us. So yeah, trying to piece it all together. Yeah, major back foot burn because it was all about kind of turning with your upper body back then, wasn't it? So,
Yeah.
hashtag French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do any like previous kind of boarding experience? So did you ever kind of do some skateboarding?
Not at all.
Or was it just kind of very
None.
like, oh really, not even wakeboarding either?
No wakeboarding, no skateboarding, no nothing really. There was a little bit of skiing, which was all of about like 6 months at the mighty Swaddling Coat dry slope.
Yeah.
But other than that, nada.
Nice. And like in terms of, were you quite physically active anyway in terms of being in different sports and activities, or did you kind of just have like snowboarding as like your first kind of proper sport you fully kind of went into?
Like as an actual sport,
Yeah.
probably yeah. Like I was never any good at football. So like, I was the guy that everyone put in goals, and then ended up becoming all right in goals, and then that's all I ever did. And I hated football. It's boring. And I was always built about as well as a wet paper bag. So yeah, just
crushed, mate.
It was always like I know activity and stuff like that, but never sport. So,
yeah.
Then it was snowboarding.
So
I'm actually snowboarding.
So in terms of kind of like starting from that first lesson to that first trip, how long was it from then on where you actually started to think about, yeah, I kind of want to do this as instructing. I kind of want to become a teacher and teach people how to snowboard. How long was that gap until you did that first qualification? Kind of who was that with?
So that was a fair while. So let's say I'd been snowboarding for a couple of years and then went to Loughborough Uni and they had a ski and snowboard team. So I was like, oh, that's handy. And they were really cool about paying for you to go to places. So if you knew how to fiddle the system a little bit, like you got more trips for free. So everyone's done that. It's like, yeah, go on committee, you get to go to Bust for free or whatever it is now. I don't think Bust exists. Or Afterjam. There you go. Name drop a few boys. Other camps are available. Yeah, and it was like 3 years or so of going on like the uni races and doing other kind of European stuff with Loughborough, and that's kind of when snowboarding became more of a thing. And it was just towards the last kind of 3 or 4 months of uni, so it was like in the last year, and then it was like maybe February, March time. There was like a little bit of a bursary that was available for like continuing professional development for people who are supposedly athletes, and we'll use that term pretty broadly.
Yeah, quotations.
Yeah.
Athletes.
So again, if you know how to fiddle the system, where you happen to have placed in a certain, like back then there were as much participation medals in bucks, what was Bucks, but now it's bucks. Just rock up and be the most sober and you'd probably win. Was kind of how it went. So yeah, if you could play that system, you were laughing. I managed to get a little bit from Loughborough towards my first BASI exam, which I did in Soldero Tata in Andorra in the April. And yeah, Mark Bishop, who was a bit of a legend in the BASI world, he was my trainer for that first one. I remember rocking up and it was just awesome fun. And actually he was one of the people I really attribute to making me want to be a snowboard instructor. It was just that like kind of cheeky Scottish guy.
Yeah.
It just made it really fun. And then we all went to the pub and we all did pub games and just ridiculous stuff. And he rode really well. And I was like, ooh, this seems like a viable thing. He's like, yeah, you should do your level 2. So I should do my level 2. So that was in like the March, April time. And then there was like a level 2 running in the July, August of the same year. And they were like, right, you need to go and do some shadowing hours and stuff. I was like, all right. And I was like, how do I fill that in? They're like, oh, there's this form. And you just fill it in and send it back. I was like, okay, I will just fill that in and send that back. Whether or not that might be everything you're after or not, I'm not sure. Yeah, let's do that. We rocked on to level 2 and passed that in the August. So this is like 2003. And then that winter, so for 03-04, went out and did a season in Fernie in British Columbia.
Yeah.
And then that was really fun, so I thought I should do a bit more of this. So then did a season in 04-05 in Mount Snow, Vermont. Then the next season was back in Fernie, and then did 2 seasons for Vail out in Colorado. And then went back and did my postgrad for a bit.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the short version.
So how long have you kind of been level 4 for now? Like
since 2006. So I was the last level 3 exam that kind of got the Willy Wonka golden ticket, ISTD at the time.
Oh, nice.
Whoever was at that level then got the French equivalent.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I got that, which is what everyone wanted to teach in France, and just didn't teach in France for ages. So I was like still over in America because it was fun.
Yeah,
And
that's
English accent in America. Why not?
yeah.
Yes.
I think those Americans love those English accents.
You're speaking from experience.
Maybe.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a mystery. While you're partying like a Viking.
We're gonna let our viewers figure out that.
Some visuals have already been made.
So kind of going on from that kind of high qualification, when did you kind of start thinking about, you've got this ISTD, you kind of want to start...
Makes it sound like a disease though, doesn't
it?
Yeah.
It's actually got an ISTD. So kind of going from that ISTD, what was the first thoughts of kind of like, I want to open up my own ski school. I want to name it Onyx Snowboard and kind of going straight out. But what were those, like that history kind of first starting off, and what were the motives behind that?
So my last season with Vail finished in 2008, and that was just when there was a whole heap of changes coming in with what is still the H2B visa, which is your seasonal working visa out there. And they kind of pulled us all in. It was like, look, next season's going to be hard, man. I was just like, that's not my best American accent, nor do all Americans sound like that. It's not my best stereotype. But they're like, look, it's going to be hard next year. We don't know if we can get you back in. There's a load of hoops we've got to jump through. And everyone came back that year on what was like the Mickey Mouse visa, which is either, I think it's like O or Q or whatever it was. And it's like, you are a cultural representative of your home nation. So everyone had to have like here's one for you, Greg Mullen. My name's Greg Mullen. I'm from Scotlandshire. Ask me about Scotlandshire. And because we all used to have where we're from on our name tags anyway.
Yeah.
But we all used to add like Shire. So I had like England. So I actually had Lord Knifton of Englandshire. So it's quite funny. We're having an afternoon tea because I used to carry Tetley tea bags in my pocket.
Oh, no way.
Like whenever we'd stop, I was like, right guys, it's that time. Afternoon tea, and everyone's, oh my god, afternoon tea. I was like, yeah, this is like a special new pyramid bag like they've developed back in England. It's awesome. Like you should see the flow and how it all mixes. Oh my god, I can see it. It's like, yeah, let's go to the pub. Bullshit. Wait, I'm not a tea technician, but I imagine it is bullshit. So yeah, that was like 2008, and I came back, and similar to you guys, I've been doing a load of videography stuff as well. And I was in two minds of whether or not to go to film school, which was like the Met down in London, or go back to uni for a postgrad and stuff like that. And I was like, ooh, what to do? I remember rocking along, and I went to the Met open day, and they were like, anybody any questions? Everyone's asking like real stuff about like writing, and then it was like, I have a question. And it was like probably the most geeky one. I was like, are you like on an Xserve? Like, how's all like the kind of raw footage all collected together? Like, have we got access to that from different? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Do shut up. And I was like, wow, you're a twat. Okay, I'll go look over stuff. So the one thing that really piqued my interest, I had a fairly big crash back in like 2004, and it took me a while to get over that. And at Vail, they were really good if you're a trainer, that they gave you development in other stuff. And one of them was in sports psychology. And they did the Myers-Briggs type indicator and like loads of stuff with it. So I was like, oh, this is fun. So I ended up going back to uni to do sports psychology and with a major in psychophysiology. So I went through all of that, graduated, and then was doing my supervisor experience after it. And the supervisor was all right, but also just apparently hadn't got the right qualifications. It appears at the end of it to have ticked off the bit I needed, which is like, right, cheers for that. So that was like a year on, and I've been working in London. My girlfriend at the time, we lived down near Tower Bridge, So it was trying to balance the sports psychology stuff, earning enough to try and get by in London, which is hard enough, and also party in London. And I started working at Snow and Rock and bits like that. And I was like, you know what? I really miss snowboarding. So I was like, ooh. There was a snowboard school who I approached and I went, look, I've got this business plan that we could probably bolt onto what you're already doing. Do you fancy doing it? And the person who owned it was like, no, it sounds like too much work. I don't want to do that. I was like, cool. Right. So then there was like a second one as well. I was like, how about this? Do you fancy doing this? And the guy was like, oh, well, come along and shadow this one particular lesson we've got. And I was like, you're going to pay me? He's like, no. It's like, I'll come along then. I'll teach for free. And after that, I was like, right, so what we're talking about before, what you fancy is well, I've got my other coach coming back, so I'm going to use him instead of you. I was like, that's fine. That's all right. I was like, quite fancy doing this myself. So I was like, right, I miss it so much. I need it as part of my life. Because London, it's all about people arguing over whose car park space. So it's like, mate, you're in the middle of London. You got a car park space. Like, shut up. Like, most people just get the tube, eh? But no, you drive. So then it's, what can I do? So actually, Onyx originally, we started as a provider, an external provider at the Snow Centre. And some of the first stuff we ever did was private lessons at the Snow Centre, which started around about the May of 2010, and then straight into a summer camp and led us out that July. So I was like, right, that's the one thing I wanted. So I went on summer camp myself in like 2002, and I loved it. I was like, this is the best thing ever. So I was like, right, if I'm going to do anything, it's summer camps and does out. So yeah, we ran that. And then we started running camps, freestyle camps, in the autumn of 2010. And then as of kind of like the start of winter 2011 is when we moved to Morsey Navoria. And it kind of branched out from there. We did loads of crazy stuff. So that's the brief intro.
Nice.
So yeah, about that. But it was mainly that kind of working and living in London and just missing the mountains so much.
Yeah. Did you have quite like a big group as like your first summer camp? How many people do you know?
Dude, we had
pretty small.
It was tiny. So like nobody really knew who we were. And there's already quite a few people out there doing stuff. So you're like, hey, I'm this new person doing things. And everyone's like, you're crap. Like, we don't like you. And
classic.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So we're like, hey, like, come on our things. And everyone's like, oh, we don't know whether to trust you or not trust you. So I ended up, the first summer camp ever, rented this apartment above Le Cellier. And I was like, we're going to get loads of people. And in the end, we got 4 people. So one of the guys, Steve Moore, who was a legend, and I'd met him before, and he was like, look, Ben, I'm going to help you make it work. And it's like, what do you need? I was like, your mum has like a VW like camper thing, like, or caravel, whatever it is, where it's got more seats. He's like, I'll drive us all out there. I was like, you boss. So, and like, fair play, like diversity from the start. We had like two male and 2 female riders on that first camp. But and one of them was like a really good mate of mine, Dad, who's like, I'll come along as well. Like, okay. And then the other lady that came along was Steve's girlfriend at the time. And then the other lady was Lou, who'd been helping me with marketing. So she's like, I'll help you out. Like, all right, so basically we're going on a holiday together. It'll be fine. And our first Onyx uniform was this terrible, like, hand-me-down that I'd had from the season before. So it was like bright fluoro yellow pants with a white jacket. And the white jacket was truly not white anymore. Like, too many times it's hammered. Yeah, all drove out in this VW camper van. And because we were being really tight and trying to save money, we set off at like arsehole o'clock on Friday, drove over and got the ferry because it was obviously cheaper. And then we got like maybe 2 hours into France and we were all pretty tired. It's let's all stop and have a sleep. So like we all just lay on the floor on the grass outside the service station and had like a little bit of a sleep. And then woke up, drove a little bit more, decided we're still tired, so I had another hour's sleep at the side. And then finally got there. Yeah. And then everybody all in one car there, all in one car back. And like his mum used to have the dogs in it as well, so it just stunk of wet dog. And I had vaguely in the aircon.
That is such a long ride though. I did the drive this year. Yeah. And that was like, yes. I mean, did you guys take it in turns or was it literally just...
It was just Steve driving because it was anyone chilled. Pretty sure anyway. Memory's a bit hazy from that. Like 10 years ago now. Yeah, it was a fun one. And that kind of set the scene of everything I remember from a summer camp of what it should be. Because for me, it was as much about what you did in the afternoons as it was what you did on the snow. And I thought that was always pretty badass. So yeah, we just did everything, absolutely everything. We were like, I don't know, man. We did stuff like pub golf as well. So everybody arrived with this golf outfit. And just like 5 of us trucking around. We had these stick-on tashes. I'll find you a picture. And because we felt that like there should be more of us, we ended up with this apple with a tea bag on its head as a hat, and then we drew like a face on it, and it was called Maurice. So Maurice came out on the piss with us as well. So yeah, that's it's always been that kind of way inclined, just to go and have a ridiculous time and make it a great holiday.
What has been, if you can kind of recall at the moment since now, like the most mad kind of getaway?
What, Onyx getaway?
Yeah, Onyx getaway.
Uh,
Or if it's like little bits and bobs from different moments in different camps that you've done.
Like the maddest thing you did, or one of the maddest things you did.
I don't know. There's quite a
with
few.
Onyx.
There's quite a few. I remember like when we first started off, there was a competitor who didn't really like us very much, which is rare actually in snowboarding. Everyone normally just gets
Yeah,
on.
I think it's at the end of the day, you're all doing the exact same thing. You're going off and teaching people, and you want people to do snowboarding. So that whole competitive nature's a bit not there.
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's just like we're all snowboarding, and to be fair, none of us are actually that good at it.
No, we're just
Otherwise,
teaching
we'd be at the Olympics.
We're
Right?
just teaching people to go down on a plank or
We're all So as long as you remember that and get over yourself a little bit, we'll get on all right. But yeah, like with all the other providers, it's always been fun. And this is one that I remember. We'll just keep it as our one. But when we just started setting up, I remember that they posted something like, "Why would you go on an Onyx camp? It's like an 1830s on snow." It's like, why wouldn't you go on that? Because like you're getting everything you want out of it. If you don't want to go party, you don't have to go party. But we kind of want to go and party as well. But mate, there's been quite a few actually. Like one that springs to mind instantly was in Tokyo. So when we got the Japan camp, so it's on the way back, and a few of us were all in Tokyo for a layover. We ended up going to this restaurant where you catch your own fish. So they give you a fishing rod, and you go in. So we're already a bit cut by this point. Drink responsibly, obviously. And this was off the hill. So just get those legal bits in there. So yeah, we're fishing for this fish. And like this drum's banging when you catch the fish, and it goes nuts. And then we went to Golden Guy. We saw the little tiny bars in the center of Tokyo. And then I don't remember anything else other than kind of coming partially to, as you do when you're a bit drunk. I'm in this green and white dress in the middle of this karaoke bar, jumping around on the seats. And I remember that. And then the next thing I remember is being in this like 38th floor apartment for this party overlooking Tokyo. And then I remember next being in the lobby of this place trying to get an Uber. Just about got one, and the guy I was with was not feeling the best at all. So we're in the car. I was like, "You'll be all right, mate. We're nearly there. So I'm going to be sick. Go up and over." I was like, "No, dude, we're nearly there. Like, it's actually over there." It's like, no. It's like, I've got. I was like, "We're there. And he's like this, is just like all like he's got his hands over his mouth and like sort of bubbling over his cheeks. He's trying to contain it. It's all going down his top, and like. Yeah, door opens, just kicked him out, and I was like, "Look, there's no stick on him, man. It's fine." And the guy's like, "Hey," I was like, just waiting for like the gazillion yen fine on that. That was one that came right to mind. But like, there's so many good times, and just where the one thing I've always enjoyed, it's always organically just gone a bit nuts when it has. So it hasn't been like, "Well, yeah, we've got to go nuts tonight." It's just always gone that way. And on some of the camps, especially like the summer camps, we don't include food, so otherwise you have to come back at a set time, and it really ruins that vibe of it. Whereas with the winter camps, you're kind of done by kind of apéro time, so you go back and have your food, and then you come back out. But yeah, there's been quite a few occasions, and I will try and sum some more up. I'm just trying to think what I can and can't say to my
That's so good. I mean, that sounds amazing in terms of. Would you kind of do something similar to that again?
What, get drunk and end up in a green and white?
Yeah, I mean,
well,
we'll probably do that next year, yeah.
We'll do it tonight. For your viewing pleasure.
Yeah. So kind of going on that.
Even though it's a podcast.
Yeah, even though it's a podcast. So in terms of like,
Are you blushing?
yeah, a bit, yeah. Luckily, we all wear
I don't know
masks.
if you are anyway. It's always fun when
I didn't know you were colourblind.
Yeah, green red.
Oh, no way.
That's why I worked in America for so long. No red one.
True,
Green,
actually.
black.
Yeah.
Well, green, blue, black, double black EX. If you're in Colorado, which is normally a cliff.
Yeah.
So, just full on drop.
No way. So,
is this everything you hoped it would be?
yeah, I'll definitely, mate.
Which way around did you made a scone? I'd just like to point out in the ways of giving these guys scones to see whether or not they'd go cream jam. He's actually gone scone sandwich.
Yeah, I wanted to eat it all.
How are your finger sandwiches? How are your tomatoes from the garden?
Oh, they were beautiful,
God,
actually,
well.
mate. Honestly.
They were really nice. I ate the first one and it just exploded out down my lap. And I was like, ah.
Nice.
Messy morning, the
What
session.
did I say? Just the seed just went, woo.
I just had a few flashbacks of you asking about things that went literally sideways on like kind of camps and stuff like that. But that's the one thing I always think is like we've never. You're always a dickhead if you force somebody to get drunk or do that, and it's like it's not 1995 where it's like binge drink-tastic. It's always just been let's just have some fun, and if you want to have a beer, have a beer. If you don't, you don't, or if you don't want to do that particular thing, don't. And if you act like a dickhead, we'll call you out on it.
Mm.
And we've been super lucky with Onyx that we always attract a really nice bunch of people.
Yeah, because I think when we saw you in Leicester Alps, everyone that we got on with seemed very, very nice and it is like really, really cool.
We've been lucky that way.
Kind of speaking along the lines of Do Alps, in the midst of this pandemic, how you've kind of found, essentially trying to do a summer camp in the middle of France with this real cool, diverse group of people that you've had.
Mate, I remember from the Olympics when all the do you remember when everyone went nuts about the commentators and stuff? I remember one of the key phrases from that being trying to walk along the seafronts at Brighton wearing a hat made of chips and not get attacked by seagulls. That is kind of how this year's been in trying to organise stuff. So we had a winter camp scheduled to run in March, and the announcement. Well, I was in Japan anyway when this all kicked off, and we actually thought a couple of guys on the camp had got COVID because no one really knew anything about it then. Other than Ozzy Osbourne started it by eating bats, but it's like nobody knew anything. So we got back to France in kind of like mid-Feb, and it's all still kind of going on around the world and nobody's really sure what's happening. So we've been keeping an eye on it anyway. And the dates aren't exactly right, but it was something like the 15th maybe, whatever the Saturday was. And Macron did his announcement between like 8 and half 8. And at half 8 he was like, right, all non-essential public spaces are closing. Done. With effect. And it's like, right, we don't know what that means really. Like we know what is a non-essential public space. We assume it might be a mountain.
Yeah.
So then the official announcement from Morzine and Avoria came like 10, round about that. And at 12 o'clock midday the next day, we had a full camp of people arriving. So we're like, right, we have got not many hours to figure this out.
Yeah.
And there's been no concrete what it all meant thing at all. So we tried to get in touch with everyone and go, look, this is the current situation. We can't tell you not to come, but we advise that you think very hard about what it all might mean. And they're like, well, what does it mean? It's like, we have no idea. We just need to let you know this now. And the aftermath of that has been quite interesting, where people have tried to take us to court and all kinds of stuff. And we've always tried to do the best by everybody that we could. And it's amazing how even with that small kind of, let's say, less than 24-hour window that people had on that, how insurance companies have just completely dicked them.
Yeah.
And just treat them like crap. Like one guy has only just now got some money back from his insurance company.
Bloody hell.
So thinking of you, Amy. Thinking of you. It's been tough. So off the back of that, you've then got the remainder of the season been knocked out. So you've got all, we had another camp that would have been, it was our 10th anniversary this year.
Yeah.
That would have run, and we had to cancel that camp. It's like, oh man, and we had more notice on that though, because that was like April, so we had a bit longer to help and do stuff. And then it's like, right, what can we do? and I got COVID anyway. Like, as I just finished that.
Oh, really?
A bit, yeah. So I didn't even know. I just thought, oh, I feel a bit off.
Mm.
And yeah, right. So the actuator on the turbo of my car had gone. So every time you try to put your foot down, like the boost didn't work. So like the engine went into limp mode, and I tried to get it sorted in Mulsanne, and like no one really had the parts and stuff. And also it's like now locked down. So I was like, right, that's fine. So I was like, right, been feeling a little bit off, but I'm going to get out before everything starts locking down. And I just felt a bit rough. I didn't think, oh my God, I've got COVID or anything. So drove all the way back from Mulsanne to Hemel Hempstead. However, every time I put my foot down on the accelerator, pretty much it kicked in to try and get the actuator to work and put the car in limp mode, which means it's now limited to like 50 miles an hour and 2 revs. And to get that off, you have to turn the engine off and restart it again. So from Mulsanne to kind of Clues, if you like down that way, I'd had to restart the car about like 50 times, and I was like, right, I'm going to end up blowing this thing up otherwise. So I managed to get one of the little the code readers, so jam that in, and thankfully that works while you're driving along. So I got hanging at the side, and you double tap the button, it kind of removes all the error codes. So I'm driving along, and resetting this button was probably every 7 to 10 seconds. So driving through France, clicking a button like this, going like RSO, but my Nintendo game is Ninja after all that training. So get back, and it's probably about 3,000 times I pressed this button, and I'm already fed up of life. Get back, and I've got this really nice whiskey, that one I was telling you about. Woody and vanilla, but send me more because you can't get it here. So I got back, and I was like, came into the house, I was like, my God, I want a whiskey. So I opened it up, I was like, it doesn't really smell of much. So I was like, have a smell of that. She's like, smells like whiskey. She's like, smell this, and got the fabric softener. I was like, yeah, I can't smell anything. She's like, you've got COVID. I was like, I don't think I have. She's like, you definitely have. It's like a new thing they've come out with. Like, it's a symptom. So she's like, right, get in the spare room. You're quarantining in the spare room. And I was like, let's go back. Quarantine straight away into the spare room. I was like, can we get a TV? That'd be all right. Like, yes, that was it. I wasn't allowed to leave that room. So absolutely destroyed Luigi's Mansion 3 on the spot.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Good game. Well worth it. Other consoles are available. But so that was like my intro to COVID and stuff. Of getting back, and I'm like, right, what's going to go on cash wise? I was like, it's the 10th year. Love the summer camp. The summer camp has got to run, and we were meant to have a whole month's worth of camps in Meadowsdale, starting at the end of June all the way through kids camp, 3 adult camps, mates week somewhere in the middle as well. All right, what's going on? So it was really obvious that first batch weren't going to run. So I was like, right, I'm going to put all my eggs into one basket and go for one at the end of July. So I was looking at the trends of when countries were opening up and what the figures needed to be, and it's when testing was so random between all the countries, and we had a list of people that had inquired, and I was like, right, I'm fairly confident, but if you keep that week 3, this is my prediction of when we're going to know. And the government at the time were operating like a UK government were operating like a 3-week window when it might open up. So I was like, right, because there's this many opportunities for it to go ahead. And then behind the scenes, my God, the amount of stuff that you had to go into. I know that you guys were there as well. Maybe a different camp as such, but where we have the accommodation included, we have to go through all of the distancing and the risk assessment of that as well. So looking at French law, UK law, where that might apply, the company has different elements, what that meant, and in the end, we'll just give everyone their own room. So we got this kind of like, what is it, like 17-person chalet, and we just gave everybody their own room just to make sure that we were covered on that. And it was like, right, you've got to have masks indoor and anything and everything that was a thing. And we were cleaning the tables like twice a day, and like anything that was a communal space, wiping it down. Yeah. But we had all this ready to go as a plan of how it would work. And then we just had to wait for that green light. And that day when it's like, it's going to happen, ban's going to be lifted, I called everyone up and said, right, book, let's do it. And they're like, will it happen? I'm like, yes. I was look at the window that we've got, and it was like maybe 3 weeks prior. I was like, they're going to have to go all the way through on another cycle that will come midway through the camp. So I think we're good. I'm 100% confident we've got you covered on the distancing thing as well. So one of the guys coming, he wanted to stay in his own accommodation, and that's cool. You know, like very much for COVID, it's been you do you and I'll do me. So and just however you want to do it, I'll do it that way. So yeah, it was just trying to combine all those bits to make it run. It's been massively challenging, and I know that a lot of camps have not managed to run, so I'm pretty stoked we managed to do that. Yeah, it was good. It was good for the soul to get back out on snow and have a beer with you guys as well.
Yeah, that was
cool.
It was so romantic. All around the fire pit looking at each other in my all cock sandwich.
Yeah, man. And then we bought, you know, we had our friend Andy as well, who just kept talking to you about Fernie, didn't he? You know, that
He's
kind
the
of like,
guy that had the major stack on his.
yeah.
He's
Got that
amazing.
drone shot. That was super fun.
Yeah, that's right.
So like, in terms of that, when I met up with you guys like the first time round by the VC, you had quite a diverse group. There was like loads of different nationalities, weren't there?
Yeah,
on there?
awesome. We always get like a really good split of like a male female ratio, but also somehow managed to attract people from all over the world. So winter camps, we've had the furthest someone's ever come was from New Zealand.
Yeah.
And that was a true honour that somebody felt that was a camp they wanted to come to.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
That was so cool. We had a guy come from Brazil. We've had people come from Canada and America, Norway, Iran, pretty much every European country I think we've had someone come from. Georgia, Ukraine, yeah. I'm trying to think, like New Zealand's definitely the furthest one. And she loved it. That was one in Avoria. But yeah, when you guys saw us, we had people in from Ireland, Sweden, which at the time, you know, Sweden was like this, oh, you can't like, have anybody from Sweden anywhere. It's like, well, like, been isolated before they came, and like, we made sure everyone did stuff. So yeah, there was Ireland, Sweden, UK, France, Germany, yeah, and like different parts of the UK as well. So people from Scotland, people from London. It was rad. It's awesome. A really good diverse mix. And it's the first year for a long time that we've had more guys than women on it. It normally offers around a like 50-50 split on some camps, and sometimes even higher. So there's usually a week where there's a group of friends that come, and it means that we actually have a higher female attendance than male. And I think that's really rad.
Yeah, because normally that's not really a thing in snowboarding. It's as I say, it's normally just cock city out there.
Yeah,
it is. It's
the attendance of male versus female in snowboarding is definitely skewed towards a male slant. But there are some great initiatives, like the Skill Can movement, and quite a lot of awareness of trying to increase participation across not just like the gender divide, but like even more wider than that, and that's really cool. And we've always gone with it. Particular thing that we don't really care as long as you're not a massive arsehole.
Yeah.
So then cool.
Like if you're cool, you're cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are.
We had an instructor work for us a few years ago, like 3-4 years ago, and we try and help people deliver new products that they might want to do. And this particular instructor, female instructor, wanted to run an all-female camp.
Awesome.
And we did try it, and that was really interesting to see how commercially that may or may not work. And we had a camp for 12 people up for ages, and we only had 5 people on it booked. And this was now like December, and it was running in January. So we opened half of it up as a mixed camp, and that sold those 6 places straight away.
Wow.
And we actually ported one of the female riders over to the women's camp because it just made sense on the level.
Yes.
And then after that, so that product should exist, but maybe we're not the people to do it. There are other people doing a really good job of that already. But we then surveyed all of the female riders we have, and they said, the way that you put stuff together is quite inclusive. We'd rather just have more of those and more dates available.
Yeah.
So we went, we're just going to make camps.
Yeah.
And you come along and know that we've got you. And it's going to be a rad time.
Nice. So in terms of kind of going on that, how are you finding Onyx now, and then what are you feeling in the future? What's like, do you have a goal for Onyx? And
So many goals.
So many goals.
So many goals.
Let's list three main three if you're able to.
Well, this year we've got so much going on, and off your original question, which was about COVID, we're still seeing the effects of that.
Yeah.
And for the time that we're recording this, which is October the 17th. There we go. Glad you got that up. Yeah, so as of October the 17th, life's pretty tough, really. Good news is the Snow Centre, where we run quite a lot of our UK stuff from, is open, and they're doing a very, very good job of the whole social distancing. I've been super impressed with how they've done it. And the good knock-on effect of that is that our clients feel confident that they can come and they're safe, and everything fits really nicely. So we're able to operate some private lessons and have been doing so far. So that's good. Some of the mortgage has been paid. Moving forward, I am beyond pissed off that the Japan camps had to be cancelled.
Yeah.
So I've been holding out hope and watching that like a hawk, because Japan in March just went, it's closed, mate. That's it. Even to people who hold residency cards and stuff like that, they were just like, nah.
You can't go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You better find somewhere else to stay for a bit.
Yeah.
Your mate's floor, you can sleep there, can't you? In, I don't know, Canada, wherever it might be. Greenland, you stopped over there. Yeah, you just stay there for a bit. It's so tough. And yeah, they're quite brutal with how, and the ways that they needed to be quite regimented with that closure. And then it came to light that they will not be opening until April. And they've got this whole new plan in place called The Journey. There's a blog about it on the Onyx blog if you want to read more, but essentially it just means that, a little bit of a name drop, that they will not be opening until April. And our camp that was going to run and had people ready to go. And it's one of my favourite ones, because you get to just go and swim around in a snorkel filled pow wonderland and eat katsu curry instead of,
Is it
really tartar flat.
Is it like that the Japan sort of powder is very different than, say, the powder that we find in, say, like Andorra or the Alps?
Very much so. So it's the way that the weather front moves, and it kind of comes out. It's that kind of Siberian, I think it's Siberian anyway. But basically the weather front comes over past Kamchatka, which is like a Russian peninsula northeast of Japan. And it's just really cold, really dry. And then as it goes over the kind of ocean in between those two, picks it up, all the moisture from there, and then just vomits it super hard over Hokkaido. And it does. It's like your mate that you took out who can't handle his booze and he's had one too many Smirnoff Ice. It just vomits hard. And it's so dry. That's the difference. So it doesn't bond together. And it, you can be in like 1.5 meters of pow, and you're moving it as you're riding through it. It's just like parting the waves. Similar to stuff you get in Utah and Colorado. That's the only thing I found similar. Yeah, none of that this year. Cheers, COVID.
I know.
But that was kind of the first knock-on effect of COVID to what we're doing. Eat a dick, COVID. Thanks for that. But yeah, moving forward, what's going to happen? We've got a freestyle camp running in Austria, which takes place at Bangor Park, and Hinstux running at the start of November. That's already getting quite interesting. So the people, I dare say, if you want to travel anywhere at the minute, you need to be slightly brave. And if you can't weather a 2-week quarantine when you get back, just think about whether or not you should even try bothering. So I think we've got like 6 people on that. And what makes that more challenging is that we will, most of us anyway, will fly into Munich and then cross the border over into Austria, do the stuff over based out of Innsbruck for Bangor Park, and then Hinstux. Space is still available if you're feeling brave, depending on what goes there. And then we hop the border back over and then fly out of Munich. All sounds good. But then you're dealing with the people that are coming on that come from Sweden, Germany, France, Ireland, and the UK. So you're trying to help people with whether or not they will or won't be able to get to it. And then they're like, so what are your terms and conditions? And it's like, well, this is what we're trying to do to help. We're obviously not Crystal. and you should see what they're doing. We'll come on to that. But it's trying to help them and have a really clear policy that helps make things run, but also that helps them if they end up in the shit. So where that's getting interesting right now is that if you come from an area of risk designated by the German government, you have to have a PCR COVID test within 48 hours prior to arrival. Fine. You then hop the border to Austria, who at the minute are playing nicely with Germany, and that's fine. Tyrol, at the minute, or Tyrol, however you pronounce it, has been designated by the Germans as an area of risk. So when you cross back into Germany, you're meant to quarantine for 2 weeks or show a negative test. However, you are allowed at the minute to go straight to the point of departure at the minute and get the hell out of there. So yeah, logistics. And I had no grey hair before March, right? But yeah, now I look like Doc Brown from Back to the Future. Mine, Bernie, you gotta come, dude. Oh, Back to the Future, so good. But that's making stuff challenging. And then we've got camps running in December. Also challenging about the whole, can you get in, can you not get in? So with that, we've tried to do our best by giving people like a 4-week window of cancellation that they can if things are looking bad. Because no insurance company is going to help you out. And that's the hardest part. None of them cover COVID whatsoever. And if you have a 2-week quarantine period on your return to, let's say, the UK, since we're in the UK, if you choose not to travel, you're not covered because that's your disinclination to travel. So it's tough. And then you got Brexit. We've already left the European Union, and come January 1st, and as of yesterday, where old Bojo's talking about his no deal and his that's making things hard in the perspective of who you can or cannot employ in France. So you've got all these basic poor ISTDs who have the COP prototypes there, but they may not have the legal right to work in France. So that's becoming tough. And where we've got people, just CVs are inundating us at the moment, going, can we come and work for you? It's like, I honestly don't know. First of all, if you can work there, cool, let's say you can. I don't know if anyone's actually going to travel. We're talking to just chalet providers. And if we're being blunt about it, it's pretty bleak. Their bookings will normally be hugely up right now. And I think you will see a big effect, or it'll just all end up being last minute stuff.
So did you do your declaration this year, or did you kind of like do it like ages ago? For teaching in France, or haven't you done it?
So the COPRO is already.
Oh yeah, sorry, my mistake. Yeah.
So the good bit that you're talking about there, which is definitely something that people should be aware of, is something that came around where there was a particular company, a law firm involved in trying to help people declare their intent or just their recognition within France.
For like level 2s and stuff.
Yeah.
It was track and flow.
Yeah, track and flow.
Other law firms are available. But yeah, I got it. But whether or not, I didn't really look into it that hard because we always just go with what the French law is at the moment, that you need to be full corporate. So we start with that. And that's easier. But then, will we have work for these people that are coming to work for you? And then people want a good cancellation policy about what they can and can't do with your lessons. Because nobody wants to be massive out of pocket, and the insurance company won't cover them. So it's trying to balance all of that in a very dynamic and foul-smelling environment at the moment. It's kind of like your mate that's farted in a lift, but actually you're going all the way to the top of the Empire State Building. It's a bit lingery, and you're all kind of got that look on your face because you know what's happening, and it's coming in your nostrils, and you're just like, I'm a little bit over this, but I've got to grin and bear it for a bit longer, and that's kind of the double whammy of COVID and Brexit at the moment. But it's possible. It is possible. You've just got to jump through some more hoops, and it will happen. And I think you'll see quite a few instructors no longer working in France, where they're probably just reaching that point in their careers where they've got to make that decision, say for the older crowd, or the more mature crowd, let's say, not to be ageist. And where some people are just like, I don't know if I can be bothered doing all of that to go into the French system. And it'll be a sad time, I think.
I think it is a big hassle especially with other instructor associations, like say Baden trying to do it. It's just like as a level 2 instructor, you have to either get your ISTD and go through that system or declare yourself, but the declaration might not work. They can just go, fuck off. We don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, like, for you as a level 2, that's kind of a good way of looking at this. Is before all of the COVID and Brexit stuff, how did your career, how did you view that career path then compared to how you might be viewing it now? Is it the same? Is it different? What are your thoughts on that?
Well,
the interview turned around.
Yeah.
The interview
Switch, mate, already in the
interview
first
turned
episode.
around. Well, we didn't really know about the declaration thing until obviously that whole thing with Simon Cook and
Simon Butler.
sorry, not Simon Butler, not Simon Cook.
Yeah.
Simon Cook's a cool snowboard instructor.
Yeah, Simon.
Yeah. Simon Butler's
Future
the,
interview.
yeah. But I got names wrong.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know that you could do that for a level 2 instructor, and you can declare yourself. But we always just thought you had to be, say, get your level 4 ISTD and then go off and teach in France.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been sort of fairly recent. I think a lot of instructors now that know that they can do the declaration that are like, level 2, 3, are doing it now before Brexit kicks in. Because if you do your declaration, you can get in on the system before the 31st. So you can do it on like the 31st of December and then the 1st of Jan.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, because my original plan was to do my level 2 Basie in November time.
Yeah.
In Zermatt. But due to kind of Switzerland putting UK quarantine list and Basie cancelling the course anyway, that's going to be pushed back. So
Stuff,
yeah, it's kind of doing that and then trying to get my declaration in afterwards. But that's all going. I mean, it was more of a backup. I wasn't really going to figure out going to working in France anyway. I was more wanted to work in Canada anyway.
Yeah.
So it's put a dent in the works. It was just there just in case I kind of had it. But I mean, it's no big on my end. But if you see it on people who've been working in France for ages, and kind of it's definitely put a track like stopping their tracks. Have you started your declaration yet with Track and Flow?
See, like,
Are you doing it through Track and Flow?
I was going to do it, so I've emailed them and I've sort of left it at that. I need to give them all my details and stuff, but I don't know if I can just be asked. It's a lot of money for.
How much is it?
It's like, I think it's
300 quid.
300 quid, and then you have to pay another 100 quid to go to a medical examiner, for the medical examiner to go, yeah, you can snowboard.
Well, that's the thing in the UK.
Yeah.
Like when I got my Kart Pro through, I had to go and get signed off by a doctor, and he's like, I don't really know what you want me to do. I was like, just got to say that I can snowboard and I'm fit and I'm healthy. It's like, that's a load of crap.
Yeah.
We don't really do that. I've got to assess you really hard.
Yeah.
But I suppose one interesting way that I've looked at this, and a question for you, is what do you understand that being declared in France gives you?
See, that's the thing. I think it's sort of just says that I was always thought of it like, oh, you're declaring yourself as a level 2 to the government and saying you can teach in France. But that's just you going, oh, I'm this instructor. And then the French can go, no, we've got ESF. Fuck off.
Yeah.
We don't want you.
And I think that is the more worrying thing for me, having looked at this from where I sit, is that message of what it actually means is very clouded. And that's not to say it's right or wrong. I also don't really know what that means to be declared. And I haven't looked into it, hence I don't really know.
Yeah.
But if you're throwing the best part of 400 quid at it,
and then
I definitely want to know
if
what's going on. Yeah.
So that's why I just was like, nah, stop doing it.
That's the thing nobody has managed to really say. And no offense at all to the people that were putting the information out there. It might just be my lack of understanding around the area, diplomatically put. I don't know if you declare whether or not that makes you legal to teach in France or not, or whether they still require. And this is the whole thing off the back of Simon Butler, and that is a whole podcast in its own.
If you want to look at that, look at the Ski Instructor podcast. Dave's already got one
So
in there.
there's good information out there for you to clue yourself up. But that's an interesting one about what the future holds for, let's keep it snowboarding, like for snowboard instructors. So what does that mean? I mean, I would love to employ basic level 2s in France. But I'll be honest, because you're cheaper.
Yeah.
It's a level at which you do an amazing job anyway. Like, come do these awesome lessons, earn your stripes, learn stuff, make mistakes and grow as an instructor. Why wouldn't I want to take on a level 2? And even then drop the price, very controversially, drop the price overall of an Onyx lesson to make it more accessible to people and not make it a cost barrier of whether or not you are rich enough to snowboard, because that always used to piss me off. Especially in Vale. Like Vale, when I worked there, was $665 for a full day private lesson.
Jesus.
Between 1 and 6 people.
No way.
Right?
It's mental.
That's back in 2006, 2007. On top of that, you would be expected but not forced to tip your instructor, and you're probably looking about $100 tip to the instructor, because we saw hardly anything of that. And then they've also got to buy a lift pass on top of that. So that is...
Also, it doesn't come with the lift pass?
No, sir.
No way.
That's insane.
And then now, last time I was over there visiting mates, I think it's like $1,000. Like, they just whack the price and people get paid it.
Jesus.
So it's like $1,000, $100 to $200 a day tip. And so that's a big... And they do groups, obviously. They do group lessons and stuff like that. But that always used to just... And that's Vale as well, destination resort. Premier this and that, and the most groomed terrain on the planet. That's what they used to try. And they do. They move around in like little packs, all like the groomer site, all the way through to like 12 o'clock. Just a pack of them, and they just take over a whole width of a run. Like, it's not one groomer; it's like an army of groomers.
No way.
And all you do, you just wait until they've gone that little bit further, and they just absolutely gun it. It's awesome, like full corduroy, and then just put the brakes on before you went in the back of the tiller on it. But so where were we? France instructor. Level 2, if we go for a basic thing, level 2 basic can teach in a mad environment and deliver great lessons. So I've never been against wanting to employ people at that level there. Just the legalities of it all have always been, have you got your Willy Wonka Golden Ticket Card Pro?
Yeah.
Which way back was even more insane, that they used to send you a piece of card, and what they'd done, you'd send them a photo, they glued it onto the bit of card and stamped over your photo and the bit of card. But then it was actual like card, not a plastic card. They sent it back with a laminating sheet, and you laminated it yourself.
Really?
Yeah, that was the original one. And if you had it in your pocket, it would last a season and then disintegrate.
I would love to see that.
5
Actually,
years. I think I've still got one.
I'll have to. If you still have it, I would want to see that. Actually, that sounds super.
The old one. You could have faked those. You really.
Yeah.
Fair enough if they check the number. Not that you should fake any documentation at all, because that is illegal. And
get out there.
Bad things will happen to you
Against the law.
Cool.
Against the law.
So kind of pushing it on then.
Push it on.
Yeah, push it on. Going into the next segment, we really kind of think about, you've kind of been over a load of places. You originally kind of started with BASI. Did you do any other certifications in terms of like with different organisations, different countries? So did you kind of go along with BASI? Did you go to do some CASI qualifications? Kind of what was your idea there? If so, how did you find that different?
So I've done a few actually. So I never really set out to be a snowboard instructor. So I just did the level 1 and level 2 with BASI, like we said earlier, back in like 2003, because I could. And then that meant I could go to Canada and not get a real job for a bit. And that was kind of fun. It's like someone's paying me to snowboard. Let's do that. So I did those in 2003. And then in Canada, I can't remember which one I did. I think it was like maybe CASI 2, just because it was there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see what they had on offer. And then when I was in America, I did the AASI qualifications, because Vale supported you through that.
Okay.
So their recognition of anything that wasn't AASI was pretty terrible. So that's back when I had full level 4, all the coaching bits and pieces, and they were like, "No, you haven't got a coaching module on yours." I was like, "Oh, I definitely do. Like, here's the certificate." So in the end, it was easier sometimes just to do that. Plus, they paid you to do it.
Oh, really?
So why wouldn't you? Yeah. But it was really cool. And it's a shame now that people can't get over to the States or teach in all these different places, because it became this melting pot of different instructors and different ideas. So you might be out at lineup in the morning and you'd be there with, like, you got your basic qualification. There might be an American guy, there might be a Canadian guy, there might be a Kiwi, there might be an Australian in there, and then you've got like the Austrian and Swiss. And I remember we had the Lithuanian, I think it was, like back in Bell, and like just crazy kind of idea sharing. And because you all work for the same company, you all just got work from the massive hand that fed you. So no one really was really trying to outdo anybody or like keep their secrets to themselves. So, and they also gave you training. Like if you weren't working, you could go and train.
Yeah,
that's cool. And like one of the old boys like come out when like, right, we're going to do this today, and we're going to work on that. And it's awesome. It might be classroom stuff, it might be like movement analysis or whatever. But yeah, so originally Basie did a Canadian one and an American one along the way. The coaching module for me was actually the Snowsport Scotland Performance Coach module. Really? Way back in 2005, maybe. 2005 I'm going. Which then, that was like a 5-day on snow course that sort of developed when Basie and the Home Nations came together to put UKCP together. So it's kind of like the sort of, but not quite the UKCP2, somewhere around there. But yeah, you did loads of stuff in the park and border crossing and things like that. So yeah, other than that, a couple of guys who worked for Onyx over the years have been NZ as well. So Chris Hazelman, the legend that he is, he is a NZ trainer. So riding with him a lot was super cool, because that's a very different way of doing some stuff. Yeah. Like where they actively promote rotation in the kind of spine, but while maintaining your hips in line with the board. And people do correct me if I'm wrong, but like almost to allow more body movement. Yeah. And back in the day when Basie were like, you must adopt the Basie robot stance. Yeah. You know, like if you move your upper body at all, you know, we're going to set fire to you and like blow your skin up and stuff. Don't open up your hips. It's like, no movement is allowed. It must all be this. And it's good and it's bad. It's just a thing. It was Basie at the time. So like coming from that really regimented, and anybody that even sees me right now, you can still see it inherently there. Yeah. Like someone's put like a coat hanger in my back, and the Bish spoiler. Mark Bishop, you ledge. Like he used to bring his arm up in front, like he got a shield up, like a little spoiler on it as well, like Bish spoiler. And like we all started adopting that for us. So it was really cool to see these other ways of doing stuff that opened your mind to it all, and you were like, there's actually more than one way to do this. And also as well, it stopped you from being real arseholey about whether or not you were snowboarding the right way. Yeah. Because there isn't.
There isn't.
No, you're right.
There isn't one way to snowboard. There's hundreds of ways.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sometimes, if you've been drilled by a system, that's the only way. And I think it's always good if you ride or learn with other people that kind of expands your horizons. That there's many ways to make, you know, a paella, for want of a better way. And you might like a bit more paprika in your paella, or you might put a bit of chorizo in there, and I don't know what I'm talking about paella, but like that's just kind of on my mind.
It's the best analogy you ever heard for like mixing qualifications.
But like if you like snowboarding as well,
snowboarding's just paella.
Yeah, man, like snowboarding's your paella. Like if you want chicken and fish in your paella, well, cool, you whack that in. As long as it makes paella at the end of the day. However, if you completely remove all of this, or if it doesn't, if it becomes like risotto, then guess what? It didn't work. And I always say this to people as I'm riding them, it's like, there's a lot of different ways to snowboard. And if you're turning, and especially if people have ridden for a while, I hate seeing instructors where they come in and go, you're shit, because you don't do it this way. It's like, well, you're a cock, because you did it that way. It's like, shut up, sit back down. And if you're turning the board, guess what? You're turning the board. Yeah. And that's kind of cool. You're snowboarding. And to the point of which you don't seek help for that, who gives a shit? Like, if you're having fun, you crack on.
Yeah. Evidently, that's what it all comes down to, especially when you're instructing. You know, you want your customers to have fun.
I think that's it. And that's it. And a lot of people forget that. And it's not about being this technically perfect, you know, kind of polished turd. It's about having an absolute whale of a time. Yeah. And Oh man, yeah. It's just be fun. It's snowboarding. Like, why did we all start it? Like,
Yeah.
because it was fun and it allowed us to go to some beautiful places and do some incredible stuff and like hike up the sides of things and like just jump off stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, Eurocoming, like you basically lying on the snow.
Yeah.
Right? Why would you do that? The answer's like, why wouldn't you do it? Right? And I think it's cool when you take that more global view of the Canadians might do it this way, the Americans might do it that way. And at the end of the day, it just gives you more tips and tricks of how you can be a better instructor.
Yeah, agree. Like, I think recently, sort of looking at all this sort of different systems, it's been really interesting at the moment just to see how different associations, or even just different culturally, how people ride. Like, you go to the Japanese at the moment, they're very open with their shoulders, and you can see why they do it. You're like, bloody hell, that's so cool. And very mad with their buttering and carve. They're really anal about their carving and buttering. Like, you just see a guy pull off like a 7 flat. Like, from
talking about the one from the other day, there was he's like nearly back 7. Dude, I did slow down. I went, oh, it's not quite. I can't do it, so I'm not going to comment.
It's quotations 7. Like, they'll come into it in like a 90, and then they'll do the sort of
give the guy
7.
Dude, give the guy a 7.
Well, yeah, that's whatever. It's cool.
Awesome. Unless you're throwing it or throwing it bigger, shut up.
Yes.
Like, it's a 7. Let the guy have it.
I
What's a good million miles an hour?
I had quite an interesting conversation actually with someone I know called Melon. She's level 4 Cassie instructor in Big White, and she really kind of looked at it from that sense in terms of culturally and how people ride differently in snowboarding that is associated with the history and the culture of the sports. Great instances in terms of why we use foot pedaling quite a lot in Basie. Of course, there's the conditions of the snow, but it's also, there's a lot of kind of footwork we do in terms of sports. Football's a very good example of that. There's a lot of maneuvering coordination. So let's, introduce that into snowboarding. We're going to use our feet a lot more. Whereas, when you see in Canada, it's very, a lot of sports are like mountain biking, ice hockey, using the body, using that a lot more, especially with the knees to kind of bring that around. And I find that's so interesting.
It's really cool. I think there is actually a piece written, and it may be Melon's piece, but that actually examines the cultural and topographical, geographical kind of links between that instructor system and what was going on. And that's the cool thing, though. All instructor systems do their job. Is one better than the other? That's for somebody else who really cares. But really, does that give you the training to provide as something? Yeah, they all do. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. And then it's all about whether or not that particular system gives you the ability to deliver what you want to deliver, where you want to deliver it. And that's kind of the reason I started looking at the other exams while I was there. It's because it just helped. It's like you're coming in and just preaching from a completely different song sheet. What was quite interesting recently, like the last 4 years, I've been working with Snow Sports England on redeveloping their instructor pathway.
Oh, no way.
And that was really cool to come at it almost from pretty much a blank sheet. So the first 2 in their system are very much instructor quals, and then it goes coaching. And there's some different bits and pieces of how that may or may not work and all that stuff. But what was really evident, there was no underpinning ingredients for this paella. Just going back to the original. So there was just paella, and that was it. It's like, right, someone's going to pull us up as well on the pronunciation.
It's not pronounced as
paella.
It's not Leviosa. It's Leviosa.
Dude, honestly, I saw somebody having an argument about that example at the Warner Brothers tour down in Watford, and they were probably going, no, it's not that, it's that, and they were just like whipping these words out. That's the best thing I've seen. So good. Brilliant. Why wouldn't you want to do that? And so with this sort of thing, the way we approached it, we'll get back on track.
Yeah.
You got some. I told you an hour would be somewhat optimistic. The way we kind of approached that was, there's a lot of systems out there already doing awesome stuff. There's no point trying to reinvent the wheel. So what could we do? is maybe have a look at it and try and come up with the most user-friendly way. And I'm not saying that's what we created, but that was the aim. So what I actually started with was almost like a literature review of everything that was out there, and when who's doing what, and underpinning it all, what's the technical model? So what are the inputs? What are the outputs? So we got on post-it notes every single term that every kind of provider or governing body, however you want to refer to them all as, did across the whole world. And that was a lot of bit of post-it notes. And then we moved them around to what we thought were inputs, what were outputs, then what we thought was to do with the body, what was to do with the board. And that took a while. But then we kind of went, which of these are the same things? So then started piling them all up. And then went, which is the easiest word for that? You know, when you're talking about really highly technical physics terms, it's like, that's a bit much. So then it just kind of narrowed down and narrowed down and narrowed down. And then we came up with what's now called the core concepts with snowboarding.
Yeah.
Which is, it is what it is. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking. It's just a very straightforward way of explaining it all. And that was really cool to try and bring some of that knowledge into a melting pot of it. And it's not the way, it's just a different way. But I quite like it, and it's some of the ways that I've always looked at it, that you've got these inputs and outputs, and also you can flip it for when you're doing more feedback related stuff or related stuff. But that was quite cool. And there's a lot that's been inspired. I remember giving this back over to the technical panel that look after this, and they were like, "Oh, it's very different." Yes, it is. Yeah, being the only snowboarder on that panel, and these guys bring with them a wealth of knowledge above and beyond some that I possess, and they've all got amazing input to it. And almost where we'd gone so simplistic with it that they were kind of, well, it needs to be more techy. And it's like, does it? Doesn't really. Like, if you can explain all levels of snowboarding by using this, we're kind of there. But that was quite cool. And there's some stuff I'm going to be doing on the Onyx Snowboarding YouTube blog. That's YouTube.com/Onyx Snowboarding or onyxsnowboarding.com/blog. And yeah, it's going to be distilling that, and hopefully it's going to be something that instructors can look at. And you haven't got to go and do a home nations one, it's just kind of the way I thought about it all. And can we kind of bring in some more of all of this idea sharing? I think that's what's lacking at the minute, is just the sharing of ideas. There's no real forum for that at the minute. Because everybody then feels that, especially in France, it's almost like you're giving away your trade secrets because everyone's their own little school. It's like, well, you're not really, are you? Like, let's be fair. It's like, let's just have a chat. Let's talk about it. Remember when we used to do that?
When we used to, go outside and talk.
Well, go on in the middle.
Yeah.
Do it through Zoom. I should also like to add that we were all socially distanced in line with the current government guidelines as of today. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, if we'll put out this video probably next year when it's all blown over.
It's because you're sat on my knees. Isn't it?
Yeah.
You haven't told me what you want for Christmas. Keep pulling my beard, man. Come on.
The COVID beers.
Yeah, should have worn the Onyx uniform.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Right. So yeah, that's kind of the different ones. And there's a lot of instructor programs out there, or even coaching programs out there that offer a lot. So whether you want to be, one is it's an easy one to mix up the letters. So you've got ISIA, which is kind of what basic go through, but then with the home nations, they go through to something called IDSI, which is the German. I get this right, sure it's German, but it's more of a coaching pathway for a volunteer or like an amateur coach as such. But actually, you can take them quite to a high level, but take your clients abroad with them, and that's really good for kind of like dry slopes that want to get people taking clubs from. There's lots of different ways to do it, and it doesn't mean that one's better or worse. It just might mean that one is more suited for your needs and what you want to do. So yeah, don't shit on that other one. Just have a chat with the person, see what they do. Can you learn something from? Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you don't. Don't do that.
Cool. So kind of running on to the last question, I think this is great. It's kind of wrap.
I've not eaten my scone or my sandwich.
I just sort of been staring at that. I'm like, he hasn't eaten it. I think just because he's played it so nicely.
To be fair, you did play it really nicely. I didn't want to eat it.
I'm actually going to cut my scone in half, go jam and cream, both orientations. I'm just going to put both those sandwiches just smash them. I mean, right, I reckon that scone, that's probably what, like 350 calories, push your jab.
Possibly,
I
yeah.
reckon if I did that with those, I reckon I'm looking like an 800 calorie mouthful. Boss.
Are you going to actually eat that?
Of course I'm not. It'd just be the worst taste in the world. Like horseradish with beef, plus cheese and
I don't know.
ham. And then
Keep it
what we got?
open.
We got fig jam. We got a bit of framboise.
And what's on these?
And we haven't even got through the maple cream cookies yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's all right. We'll get through.
I was hoping one of you might talk a bit longer. I could have eaten a sandwich. I've had one tomato all day, quite a few cups of tea. See, I'm tripping balls.
I know. Jeez.
Caffeine, that is.
Cool. So, in
The
kind of,
hallucinogenic tomato.
so in your opinion, then, like, what makes a great snowboard instructor? What makes a good snowboard instructor?
That's
Like,
deep, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit deep. So, what do you think?
That's why I'm asking you. I'll probably give mine later on.
All right. Well, I thought we could audition.
Yeah. Good idea, Sharon.
It's what makes a great one.
Well, what makes a good one? It doesn't have to be great.
I think it's the versatility and the ability to adapt to what the client needs makes a fundamentally good or great instructor, and having the underpinning skills and knowledge to deliver that content makes them. So that chameleon ability to almost become I am who I am depending on who you want me to be, that ability to really help a client without dragging them from the way that they normally operate. And you don't want to be disingenuous to yourself, but you definitely want to adapt to that. And just someone that's knowledgeable, passionate, and with a great gift with people or the ability to deliver.
Yeah.
That makes great people. And somebody who's humble. I'm going to keep adding to this list by the way it's going.
That's good.
Visa, fear, surprise, torture, and ruthless sufficiency to the pro.
It's definitely.
Monty Python, if you're not sure, Spanish Inquisition. It's,
You shoot it.
that's it. It's just, I want to, like that first instructor that I had back at Tamworth Snowdome, and that's no reflection on Tamworth Snowdome, and this is also like back in the late 90s,
Yeah.
you know, where things were still developing. And that instructor was shit. Like, he didn't make me want to snowboard at all. He just like rocked up and we just did stuff.
Yeah.
And it's only because I loved snowboarding
That you
because
carry, yeah.
I just didn't listen to him at a certain point and just dicked about. And it's like, you're taking too long to explain this to me. I'm a right nightmare to teach anything to, by the way. I was like, right, I'm bored. I'm just going to try it. So I just kind of pointed it down the hill and just went and kind of wanged a turn out from
The
somewhere.
instructor just like was like,
Yeah,
what's
he's
it?
like, throw down, fuck you. I'm having this. And like my turn from where that rope is on like skiers right, my one turn took me all the way over to the left hand side and straight into the wall as well. And it was amazing. I loved it. Like that guy just, you should be inspirational. Like you should just, I'm sure, like we said before, you get into snowboarding because you love it.
Yeah.
And
You should keep it like that.
yeah, exactly. And I think it's a sad day when you see some instructors where they're just a bit washed up. And that's sad. It's like you should go find it for you again. Because if you love it,
Yeah.
people will come because you love it.
We've had that by seeing a few instructors where I think it doesn't help when you sort of have another job and then you love snowboarding, but then you instruct at like an indoor slope, like the Snowdome, like a constant day after day after day. It sort of gets taxed.
Can take it out, yeah.
Yeah, it takes out of it so much, and then you just become like this sort of grumpy old sod.
It's like you now, isn't it?
Good dog.
Yeah. And then on the other end, you have like the guys that have just started. Some of them, they'll be like, oh yeah, really into it, and learning their ropes, and you can see them making the same mistakes when you made when you first started, and it's like cool, and you like try and help them out, like, oh, do this a bit more, like, oh, cheers, thank you. But then you also have people that first start that are like a little bit, I don't know if it's because of Basie or something, but they're just.
Well, that's controversial.
Whether they just.
I'd like
They
to
just
point out
go
that was
step by step
in your Basie top.
Yeah. But they're like sometimes very serious, and like they don't smile or anything. You're like, go smile, mate. It's cool. And
But some people actually gel to a
serious sort of thing.
Well, just a more dry delivery, let's say, and that's the key bit. I mean, I'm not exactly known for being unanimated and a little bit dull when I'm delivering. Normally, I'm just like kind of like a kid jacked up on bloody mountain doing Skittles, right? And it's really, I find it still challenging to come down from that level of intensity to something that's a bit more soothed. And it took me a while. And it also, depending on how you operate, it makes it quite noticeable for people as well if you're not at that level.
Yeah.
Like, so if that's your normal MO, like the normal way of going out, if you're having like a mediocre day, like people really, it's like, what's up with you? Like, why aren't you bringing the energy? And it's like, oh man,
it's just not.
I'm hungover. That's what it is. You know, like 20 pints last night. So that you forced down my throat, client. Not that you should teach it. I'm all hungover. But yeah, it's just
it's all different, and
it's kind of going along the lines of, you know, that great word I love, adaptability. Yeah, you may do it technically to start off with, especially when you're snowboarding. You're adapting to how those stuff works when you first start off, and then kind of really kind of seeing that method and bringing it over into the coaching, bringing it over into teaching. You know, adapting to the point of, see if the client's like quite happy, quite jolly. You know, you're going to reverberate that kind of teaching style towards there. Where if they are a bit more mellow, where they are a bit more kind of chilled, you're gonna do the exact same along those lines.
There are sometimes as well, if somebody's super chilled, you just don't care.
Yeah,
right. I am this ball of energy, and you're coming on this magical mystery tour with me, and I don't know where it's going to lead. You're going to follow me into this wormhole and into this next wormhole.
This does not sound like snowboarding anymore.
You just keep following them along, and that's the other bit as well. It's just, you'll always find a way, and you should always find a way to connect with people.
Yeah.
And one thing I really like with anyone that comes to work for Onyx as well, it's stick them in a uniform and go, right, fall over in front of everybody. And they're like, why would I do that? It's like, because you need to be okay with it.
Yeah.
And just let it happen.
Yeah.
Like, you're not that you should be falling over you shouldn't be falling over doing an ollie.
Yeah.
Right? There comes a point that is a staple thing that you should be able to crank out. And if you do fall over, fine, just get straight back up and do another one.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't sit on the floor and feel sorry for yourself that your one opportunity was missed. You should have things unlocked, but also you should be okay just going with it.
Falling over, having fun.
Yeah, because I think, you know, first thing you should tell, like I'll tell people, is you're going to fall over. I'll fall over.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
controversial
Yeah.
psychology of that, though. But you're just telling them they're going to fall.
Yeah.
But they might not. If you don't mention it, how do they know they're going to fall? Do you not want to set the most positive scene that can be?
See, now this is the... I'm basically staring now.
Yeah. Right? But that's a different way of doing it. And it's not a way. It's not right. It's not wrong. So what's the repercussions of it?
Yeah, you come into the thing of... I remember talking to you about falling over, and in the Cassie way, they were saying, it's, as you say, it's psychological. You're getting people scared. That's why they didn't teach it. When I was doing my level 2, Ash was saying, I don't really want to teach them how to fall over, really, because it could be an insurance reason, because you basically tell them how to fall over in a specific way, and they could go, well, he told me how to fall over this way. I could sue him for that. But when we're teaching the snow dome, we have to teach them how to fall over.
So there's a big
because
difference.
of the insurance reason through that. It's so then you're like juggling with all these ideas, and you're like, I don't know what's going on.
The easy answer to that always when I'm delivering instructor courses is, should your employer, deployer, whichever it may be, require you to teach that for whatever insurance reasons they've got, you deliver it. Because they did the boss.
Yeah.
So you do what the boss says.
Good.
Do I want to do it myself? I never teach it. Simply, and there's a whole conversation there about it, but my rationale behind it is, if I'm about to fall over within my first hour ever of snowboarding, if I remember to do that, I'm doing pretty bloody well.
Yeah.
And most people, you can be close enough to them to help out.
Yeah.
And after they start getting beyond that kind of initial phase, I just want to streamline your journey from having never seen that giant ironing board with bindings on in your life to getting a couple of turns under your belt and you feeling like the mega boss of the world and setting some fireworks off. I want to make that as linear and streamlined as possible with the most amount of fun. And it's kind of easier sometimes if you've got smaller groups. If you've got like a group of 8, run around more, be less shit. So, you know, you can still do it. Just means you've got to put a bit more effort in. You know, when you've got the guy that's still talking, "I've another girl." It's like, fine, like, there was that whole practice section, but if you need to run around a bit more, run around a bit more.
Yeah.
Earn your money. Or just be that volunteer, selfie. Be the enthusiastic volunteer. Just be less shit. Like, who wants to be an average instructor? This is another thing I always say. Why would you want to be average? Like, why wouldn't you want to learn all this other stuff and just be awesome? It's more fun for you as well.
I think it's like looking. You do. Most instructors I do come across is.
Do you reckon you can talk for like 30 seconds so I can eat the salmon?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, go.
Sandwich.
I'm really intrigued to
This
hear.
is where I talk really fast. And like that's sort of when you're coming out of just instructing, you know, you have like a lot of snowboard instructors and like instructors in general that are wanting to teach the best they can and wanting to get up the levels, and you know, they've done their Basie 1 and then they want to go, oh, I kind of think I want to do my Basie 2 now, and then they're aiming for that, and it's like really cool to see, and you end up having a talk with them, and then they're like, yeah, I kind of do my Basie 2 in so X amount of time. I think you're like, yeah, go and do it, because it's sort of a cool experience to do, and you learn so much, and you know, well, Justin, you're thinking like you're going to say something.
No, I'm just going to say on that note.
God.
I'll finish my sandwich.
Yeah. Any plugs, Baden, you kind of want to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap.
Yeah, one in the toilet needs doing.
Yeah,
to be
good
fair,
idea.
we're still doing that. So. No, guys, it's been a pleasure to chat to you both. Obviously, onyxsnowboarding.com for all your standing sideways needs. Come have a little bit of fun, and yeah, we're based here in the UK. Hopefully, expanding out a little bit more once COVID restrictions have figured themselves out back to some of the UK bases that we used to operate from. But you can definitely find us at the Snow Centre in Hemel Hempstead. And then over the winter in Morzine, Avoria, Leger, winter camps as well. So if you've got no buddies to go ride with, come have a ready-made crew of like-minded snowboarding ninjas. Come on, come on, for a bit of an all-mountain freestyle flair. Ooh, marketing terms. Oh, mate, that sandwich has done the trick. I'm glad it wasn't the scone. Not the scone, it's too much sugar. We also run some more adventurous camps for those at slightly higher levels. I should also note that the winter camps are available for everyone who can make turns on blue terrain and above. We welcome all with our many. Let's get the English right, shall we? Bloody sandwich. The multiple ability level groups that we run in each camp. And then summer camps over in Letters Out, because that's where it's at.
That's where
you can find all of that on onyxsnowboarding.com. You can also follow Onyx Snowboarding on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
All the social media.
All the social media. And if you really feel like following my random exploits, which normally end up being snowboarding, guitaring, video gaming, and random stuff, that you can find me on Instagram at Baden_Knifton, spelled with a K. That's the K in Knifton, not the K in Baden.
Thank you so much, and hope to see everyone on the next episode.
It's been fun, James.
Definitely.
It's been fun.